conference on some of the issues. Who's recording?
Hi, Peter. Peter, are you there?
Peter, did you turn on the recording?
He must have.
He's got to shut that off.
All right, I'm gonna go tell him hello, everyone.
Zoom recording. Okay, I can record the meeting because it's going to record directly to my computer. I think that's best. I think
That's great. Okay, good. Then I don't have to worry about it. I'm gonna say when we start the recording after I welcome people. Okay, so I can tell people. So when I say we are going to start the recording now, start the recording. Okay.
Hey, really quickly, everybody, there's people
Oh,
who,
Patricia's with us.
okay,
Oh,
Carol owns the parking lot.
Okay.
Shut up your volume. Okay.
Frankly, I don't have a problem if people
Hi, Carol.
get on early. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not planning on discussing any deep political secrets in the next 15 minutes. Not that I have any. How's everybody doing?
Very well. Thank you.
Wonderful.
And yourself?
Oh, it's too nice a night to be at a meeting. Okay, this is what kills me about being an elected official. You know, the busiest time of the year for us is May, June, and early July, you know, which is the nicest time of the year to be outside. So I'm looking forward to retirement.
You're
How many
close.
years has it been, Mark?
Almost, well, 15 and a half years now as an elected official, 8 as school committee, and now 7.5 on the city council.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's, for me, that's a long time. Some people have their 30-year careers, but I can't hold a job. So I've had about 40 different jobs in my life, and 16 years for me to do anything is like, you know,
A long time.
2 centuries. Yeah.
Mark, could you unmute
Hold on.
Walter?
I got it all set now.
Oh.
Hey, Pete, for purposes of closed caption, do people have to do anything?
What happened?
He's not. I just wanted, I want to know if people have to do anything in order to see closed caption, so that way Mark can tell them what they have to do. Pete's not on again.
Geez,
Michael,
sorry.
Your picture.
Sorry, guys. If you go to the bottom bar next to where it says share screen and all that, you'll see CC closed caption. All someone has to
Oh
do
yeah,
is
you
just
just click that.
click it, and it says show subtitle, hide subtitle. That's it.
So, Mark, you may want to let them know that it's closed caption if they want it.
If people ask about it, I'll explain it, but generally
Okay.
people don't ask. And yeah, if there's any technical stuff that should come up, I hope you will barge right in and
Absolutely.
explain.
I think the only thing that's really important left is screen sharing. Do you want to just give that a quick try to make sure that's looking good?
All right, if I'm the host, I may need to. Who is going to be sharing their screen?
Tony.
Okay,
Hold on, let me go get him.
let's make sure. Yeah, good that you thought of that, Pete. Let's make
Yep.
sure we can do that. I mean,
And the other thing is, I believe you mentioned yesterday to let people know they will be recorded. I actually got a notification that was being recorded when I signed in today. So people might be seeing it anyways, but just in case for the wiretapping statute or whatever.
and when I'm looking at the participants, Pete, okay. All right, yeah. Yeah, let's make sure that the screen sharing will work. It looks like Mike Mocha coming in. Ball Square Cafe.
All right. Brusera, that's Tony. So he should be asking screen share. I think you'll have to grant him a permission when he does.
Okay.
Okay. All right, is Tony on?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Hi, Charlotte.
Hello. I am actually going to be staying off camera tonight. I'll be here the whole time, but my computer does not love Zoom. And if I have both my web camera on, no one can hear me. So I will be off camera so that everyone can hear me.
I wish I had that problem, Charlotte.
It's more annoying than you'd expect.
All right, so has Tony checked about being able to share his screen?
Yeah, so he just got on, so he's gonna check it right now.
You are.
You have the latest PDF, correct, Tony?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can screen share, and I believe that is the latest one that you have shared with me.
It's the one I sent to the group last night.
Yep.
Let me just come and check it really quick.
No problem.
Hello, Jim. Jim Silva from the South Medford Residents and Tenants Together.
How you doing, Mark?
Hey there.
Good evening, everyone.
Glad you
Good
could make
evening.
it.
All right, Tony, do you want to try to get that screen shared?
Sure. Did you want to do the introductions and then screen share? Remember, maybe we wanted to do it that way.
No, we want to bring up the opening slide,
Oh, okay.
and they're gonna do the voiceover over it.
No problem.
Oh, wait a sec, Jessica. I'm going to talk for quite a while before, and then introduce Charlotte, and then introduce the presentation. So I want people to be able to see me and each other during that time.
Oh,
I
okay,
don't
yeah,
wanna
no
start-
problem.
Yeah, I don't want to start the screen sharing till I turn it over to you
Okay,
and your team to do the presentation.
all right, no problem, Mark. Do we want to just test the screen sharing very quickly, just to make sure that Tony is able to pull it up?
Definitely.
Okay, Tony, you just
Always
want
a
to
good
try to pull it up real quick?
There it is.
All right,
Good.
Just
Can
make
you-
sure
can you
we-
expand it to fill the whole screen, Tony? At least on my screen, it was only about half.
no, yeah,
Oh, good. Beautiful.
excellent. That's how we need it. Thank you.
Good. Wonderful. All right, folks are arriving early.
Hey, Mike.
Hi, Tom, can you hear me?
Yeah,
How are you?
good. How are you,
Hey,
Mike?
hello. How you doing?
Hanging in there.
I'm trying to get my Wi-Fi to work. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back, guys. Excuse me.
From our sink mat that perfectly fits under your sink. To our ready-to-wash system that cleans any details. And to secure your phone, don't forget the cup phone. WeatherTech has everything to make it a great Father's Day. Order today at weathertech.com. WeatherTech.
Wanted to help protect myself. My doctor recommended Eliquis. Eliquis is proven to treat and help prevent another DVT or PE blood clot. Almost 98% of patients on Eliquis didn't experience another, and Eliquis has significantly less major bleeding than the standard treatment. Eliquis.
Mark,
Yeah.
could you remind people that if they're not talking or anything to mute themselves, because you start hearing people's TVs on and everything.
I certainly will.
Thanks.
On Eliquis, call your doctor right away if you have tingling or muscle weakness. While taking Eliquis, you can bruise more easily, and it may take longer than usual for bleeding to stop. Seek immediate medical care.
I'm going to quickly, this is Charlotte speaking from the Planning and Zoning Division. Chandra, you asked, how do you sign up to testify? I'm assuming this means at the Licensing Commission meeting. I do not believe the Licensing Commission requires anyone to sign up to testify. If you attend the meeting, there's a public comment section where you can just be unmuted and speak. If you would like to submit comments prior to the meeting, you can email them to licensing@somervillema.gov, and those will be added to the record as well. But I do not believe that you need to sign up anywhere in order to speak at the meeting.
And Charlotte, I put in the chat the link to get into the meeting for the Licensing Commission meeting, as well as that address, that email address. And I'll keep on putting that in as people come in so they can just get it from the chat.
Perfect. I'm gonna keep answering questions that I see in the chat that are related to not this particular application. So I do not run the Licensing Commission meeting, so I might give incorrect information, but how we do it at the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Planning Board is once public testimony is opened for a particular case, whoever on staff is running the meeting will give directions for how you can let staff know that you want to speak. We use GoToWebinar, so generally there is, generally the function we use is there is a button that you click that and if you click that, it lets staff know that you would like to speak and we can unmute you. But we generally explain it at every meeting, how you can express that you want to provide comment on a particular case. Does that answer your question, Chandra? Great.
Thanks, Charlotte. Glad you're here.
What I'm here for.
Hello, Courtney.
Recording in progress.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I can't get myself on live. I apologize.
We can hear you, Mike. Can you hear us?
Awesome. I can, thank you.
We don't have to see your beautiful face live to know
Well,
that you're here.
I wanted to smile for the camera, you know.
Well, your picture's smiling.
Well, I'm sorry, what?
Your picture is smiling.
All right, great, great.
Good picture, Mike.
It's 7 o'clock, but we're going to give it another 5 minutes to allow people who might be straggling in a little bit late to get in. Sometimes people have technical problems getting into Zoom meetings. So we'll just wait another 5 minutes.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, Mike, what a beautiful face.
Hey.
I did my hair for you guys and everything. This is great. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I see Mr. Lianos.
Hello.
Hey, Mr. Lianos, how are you?
Good, good, very good. Hello, hello.
Chris.
Hi, everyone. Cheers.
Hello.
See, can you see Chris Lianos and Mike?
Hey, Chris.
Hello, how are you? Share,
Good.
share screen. Share.
That's
We'll see.
Your audio.
Oh,
No, if there's a shot, I should wait.
sorry. Oh, it's Mike.
It's me, I'm back.
It's Chris and Gail.
Hello, hello.
We're in Mexico right now.
You where?
No, we're waiting for our niece's wedding, but I wanted to make sure I did this, you know?
Oh, somebody's here from Mexico? How about that? How's the weather down there?
Raining.
Ah,
Monsoon
come back.
rain.
It's beautiful here. This is the best weather we're ever going to have.
yeah.
I should just come back up there to have a vacation.
Well, this week was good. Yeah, you have no camera, right? Yeah.
Have technical issues here, excuse me. This is my first Zoom meeting, can you tell?
Yep, me too.
All right, everybody, it is 7:05. Thank you to those of you who have arrived on time. Welcome. Hello, neighbors. Thank you for taking the time to attend this meeting on a beautiful spring evening. I really appreciate your being here to ask questions and share your views and concerns about this application. We've got, I see a bunch of business owners from Ball Square and Jeff Schwam from the Ball Square District Association, Jim Silva from across the line in Medford from South Medford Residents Together, and two candidates for Ward 5 City Council are here, Todd Easton and Tessa Bridge, and Beatrice Gomez, the third candidate for Ward 5 City Councilor, is at her 8th grade daughter's graduation. So she couldn't be here, but she's already shared some comments. So thank you all for being here. I know that some of you have been following this application since last year, and some of you have just heard about it in the last few weeks. But I'm glad you're all here, and the purpose of the meeting tonight is to hear from all of you who want to speak on this. This is the official neighborhood meeting required by the Somerville zoning ordinance for a retail cannabis business application. My name is Mark Niedergang. I'm the Ward 5 City Councilor for now, but only till the end of the year when somebody else will be taking my place starting next year. It's my responsibility to facilitate this neighborhood meeting, and its purpose is for the applicant team from Advesa to hear from the people in the Ball Square neighborhood. This meeting will be recorded so that there is a public record of the meeting. People who are not able to attend will be able to view it on the Advesa Somerville website afterwards. Tonight's presentation will also be viewable at that website. So if anybody you know wants to see the presentation or watch the meeting, tell them to go to the website. And I have put the URL for that website in the chat so that you have it right there. You can copy it and keep it. So we're gonna start the recording now. Pete, will you start the recording, please? All right, we are recording. I wish that we were meeting in person, as an in-person meeting could be less formal. But since this is a virtual Zoom meeting, let me explain what to do if you want me to recognize you to speak. Please keep yourself muted when you're not speaking so that we don't have background noise, reverberations, and other noise that will interrupt the speakers. So if you do want to speak, you can indicate that to me in one of three ways. If you're visible, if I can see you, you can just raise your hand. You can write a question in the chat or write in the chat that you want me to call on you, or you can use the raise. Is there a raise hand icon here? Reactions, yeah. In the reactions, I think there is a raise hand icon that you can use that I can see. Please don't start speaking until I have recognized you. My role as a Ward 5 counselor is to work with the applicants to organize this meeting and to facilitate discussion between neighbors and the applicant so that your questions can be answered and your concerns and objections heard and responded to. I also want to enable neighbors to be involved in this city application process so you, neighbors, can express your opinions, questions, and concerns if you wish to the two city boards that are the decision makers on whether Advesa will be granted a license to conduct business at this location in Ball Square. In other words, I want to help you neighbors be able to influence the decisions if you want to. I myself, as a ward counselor, am not a decision maker on this. I can testify before and I can send emails to the two decision-making bodies. That would be the licensing commission and the planning board, just as you can, or actually anybody can. You don't have to be a neighbor or even a Somerville resident to testify before the licensing commission or the planning board. The licensing commission will consider Advesa's application this coming Monday, June 21st, at their meeting, which starts at 6 o'clock that night. I have put in the chat the address to send email to the licensing commission if you want to share your opinion with them, and also the link to the agenda for the meeting so that you can get into the meeting and testify if you wish. The planning board meeting will likely be sometime over the summer. Each of these two city bodies are independent boards whose members are appointed by the mayor and then confirmed by the city council. They both have public hearings where anyone can speak directly to them for up to 2 minutes. I am available by email or phone after this meeting going forward to answer any questions you have or help you be involved in influencing the decisions of these boards. I have put my contact info in the chat. If you have not been in touch with me about this application, about Advesa, and you want to be kept informed as things move forward with it, please send me an email so that I can put you on my list and update you when there is news or when the meetings happen. So now I want to briefly outline for you how this meeting will proceed. After I lay out some ground rules for the meeting, I will introduce Charlotte Lees of the City Planning and Zoning Department. Charlotte will describe for you the process by which Advesa's application has gotten to this point and will be considered by the city going forward. And then she and I will answer any questions that you may have about the process. Then the Advesa team will do a presentation about how the business will operate and how they will interact with the community. They will cover security, traffic, parking, and many other issues. After the presentation, I will call on people in turn so that everyone can ask questions, make comments, or express concerns, opposition, or support. We will continue the question, answer, and comment discussion for as long and as late as neighbors have relevant and reasonable questions and comments, even if that means we are still here talking at midnight. Although my hope is that the meeting will be over by 9 or 9:30. But it's important that everyone's questions be responded to by the applicant and that everyone's concerns and objections and suggestions be heard. Now I want to lay out the ground rules for how this meeting is going to proceed. During the presentation, I will allow only short questions of fact or clarifying questions, but no comments or substantive questions during the presentation. After the presentation, I will call on people in turn to ask questions and make comments. I'll allow the applicants to respond to those questions and comments and brief follow-ups by the neighbor if they wish. Since I know that not every one of you can stay on this meeting for hours and hours, I will only allow initial questions or statements by neighbors for a maximum of 2 minutes. I do not want any one person or a few people to monopolize or dominate the discussion. We'll move from person to person so that everyone gets a chance to ask their questions and share their concerns before it gets too late and before people have to start leaving the meeting. Once everyone's had a chance to ask their first question or comment, I will circle back and give people who want to have a second opportunity to speak another 2 minutes maximum if they wish. Once everyone's had their second opportunity, I'll go around a third time, and we'll keep on going around like that. And that way, everybody will have a chance to ask their questions and share their comments. Now, usually I conduct these meetings in a less formal and less structured way. However, tonight there is an elephant in the room, and I believe the neighbors need to be aware of it, as it has so far driven much of the public discussion of this application. Some of you have heard from Grover Taylor, the owner of the restaurant Eat at Jumbo's at 688 Broadway, which is right next door to the space that Advesa has applied to occupy. Mr. Taylor has had some private business dealings with Advesa, and they had some big disagreements and a falling out. Now, unfortunately, disagreements between abutting businesses is not that unusual in Somerville or even in Ball Square. But Mr. Taylor is angry and upset about his private business dealings with Advesa. He has communicated with many people in the community about these private business matters, as well as in public forums such as the Davis Square Facebook page, which is viewed by thousands of people. That is certainly his privilege and his right to discuss his private business affairs with others if he so wishes. However, Mr. Taylor has also said publicly, and he told me personally over the telephone, that he wants to use this meeting to share information about his private business dealings with Advesa. I have emailed Mr. Taylor and also told him over the phone that this is a meeting about public business before the city of Somerville, and that I will not allow him or anyone else to use this meeting to discuss private business matters and relationships. Not only would it be inappropriate, but it would certainly eat up huge amounts of time in the meeting, generate a prolonged back and forth with Advesa about private business matters, and crowd out the opportunity for neighbors to ask questions, express concerns, and hear responses from the applicant. I cannot allow this to happen. So I've told Mr. Taylor that it's his or anyone else's right to express their opinion at this meeting, and also to the Licensing Commission and the Planning Board about Advesa's suitability to run a marijuana business in Ball Square and what type of a neighborhood partner they will be. And I will certainly allow him and anybody else who wants to speak to do so. The public reputation, public record, and public history of the Advesa team are also topics that are relevant to this application. These are relevant to Advesa's future behavior as members of the Ball Square business community. But I have told Mr. Taylor that I will not permit him or anyone else to discuss their private business dealings or relationship with Advesa at this meeting. I will also not allow, and I will interrupt, personal attacks or insults or defamation of the applicants or of anyone else. So at this time, I want to introduce Charlotte Lease, who works in the city planning department. We won't be able to see her, but we'll hear her loud and clear. She's having some video issues. Charlotte will review for you the process by which Advesa's application has arrived at this point and will be considered and decided upon going forward. She's a staff person who deals with all the marijuana applications, and she also will be writing a report on this meeting and a staff recommendation on Advesa's application. So Charlotte, would you talk to everybody about the process?
Yes, my name is Charlotte Lease. Thank you for that very holistic introduction. So my name is Charlotte Lease. I am a planner in the Planning and Zoning Division, and this is one of the projects that I'm working on. So I'm gonna, as Mark said, give kind of a little bit of background on how we got to here. Also information about what the next steps in the zoning process are. But before I get to that, I briefly wanted to say that it has become the custom of the Licensing Commission to take cannabis applications last on the agenda. So anyone who wants to go to the meeting on Monday, feel free, but don't expect this application to be taken at 6. It'll be taken towards the end of the meeting. I don't know what time that will be at, but just wanted to make sure that you don't log on at 6 thinking it'll be taken there. It will be taken on Monday, just towards the end. So with that out of the way, the reason we're here tonight, as Mark had said, is that this is the required neighborhood meeting for the cannabis special permit. Any use special permit that is applied for in the city requires a neighborhood meeting. The goal of the neighborhood meeting is to provide an informal way of the neighborhood talking to the applicant, hearing about the proposal, asking questions, expressing concerns prior to the hearing with the planning board. The hearing with the planning board is very structured, formal. It's not really built for back and forth between applicants and members of the public. It's really meant for the planning board to receive information. So that's why we've required this sort of meeting. So how we've gotten here is Advesa applied to the Mayor's Marijuana Advisory Committee for a host community agreement. All recreational cannabis uses have to get a host community agreement, which is essentially an agreement between the applicant and the city. In this case, the mayor is the one who signs it, outlining various requirements about how the applicant acts and about how the city responds. That host community agreement can be viewed online, and once I'm done speaking, I will put where it can be found in the chat so anyone can view it. So Advesa was granted a host community agreement. It is signed, it is up on the website. And after getting that host community agreement, the next step is kind of a twofold. They go to the Licensing Commission to get a license, and they go to the planning board to get a special permit. So as mentioned, their Licensing Commission meeting is on Monday. their planning board hearing has not been scheduled. It cannot be scheduled until after this meeting has held and then is held, and then a complete application is submitted. Some of the components of a complete application include a transportation impact study, which is essentially a study, the scope of which is reviewed by the mobility division of the city and looks at the expected impacts of this use on transportation modes in the surrounding area. It focuses a lot on vehicles, but it addresses other items as well. The scope of that needs to be approved by the mobility division, and it was submitted last week and is currently being reviewed. So we don't have that available yet, but it will be available prior to the public hearing with the planning board. I think those are most of the major overarching points that I wanted to get out. I don't want to summarize things that people aren't interested in, but if anyone has questions about the process, about something that I might not have addressed, now is a great time to ask them. You can also ask them later, but if there are any broad process questions, we can answer those now.
Yeah, probably best to put questions. If you have a question, just say your name and question in the chat, or put the question in the chat, because we've got 3 screens here, a lot of people. So any questions about the process?
If you put them in the chat, I will just read through them and answer them as they come in.
All righty, and that scope that Charlotte mentioned is just an overview of the coming transportation study. Advesa did make that available to me a couple of days ago, and I shared it with Jeff, who sent it out to his mailing list in Ball Square. But anybody wants to see that, you can email me and I can send it to you. It's just an outline of the study they're going to do. It's not the study itself. So thank you, Charlotte, for that. And now I am going to turn it over to the Advesa team for the main event. I want to start by introducing their CEO and principal owner, Jessica Pelletier. She will introduce her team and they will make the presentation about their plans and their application. Following that, as I said, I'll conduct a question and answer and comment discussion, which will go on as long and as late as you all want to stay. So Jessica, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Charlotte. That was a great introduction, and I appreciate both of you giving that robust introduction. And thank you, everybody, for coming out to our community outreach meeting for 690 to 694 Broadway in Ball Square. My name is Jessica Pelletier, as some of you know, and I'm the CEO of Advesa MA, and we're doing business as Blue River Terps. I started my cannabis journey 10 years ago after multiple medical complications resulting in 11 surgeries in total. Back then, there were very few women in cannabis, one of them being my business partner and executive director, Chanel Lindsay. Our team collectively has a robust amount of experience in the cannabis industry. However, at our core, we are a small family-owned business. I've known my partners, Isaiah and Tatiana, who are married since high school and college, and they have both done wonderful things for the Massachusetts community. Chanel, Michael, and I have worked together for over 8 years on a variety of initiatives, including making the industry more inclusive and accessible to small and minority-owned businesses. We are also residents of Massachusetts within the Metro Boston area. Tony Verzura, our Chief Operating Officer, is my husband, and we actually met through our work in the cannabis industry about 5 years ago. He has successfully owned and operated a number of businesses, including a dispensary himself, and he is a cannabis innovator and inventor. We are not a large corporate cannabis conglomerate, and it has been our dream to open up a dispensary that embodies all of our missions to not only bring diversity into industry ownership, but to also create jobs, opportunities, and mentorship for individuals disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs. I hope that in providing some insight regarding our team, we can bring a level of comfort to the city and you as residents, that we will not only be responsible business owners, but deeply involved in the day-to-day aspects of the business and the community as a whole. Advesa does not consider ourselves just a business in Ball Square. We want to be part of the fabric of Ball Square. We're here to answer any questions regarding who we are, what our plans are, but more importantly, to learn about the concerns the community has so that we can address them adequately. And with that being said, we're going to start the presentation. And as I mentioned, it is for 690 to 694 Broadway. Next slide, please. Advesa MA has been certified as an economic empowerment priority applicant by the Cannabis Control Commission. We have demonstrated experience in or business practices that promote economic empowerment in communities harmed by cannabis prohibition. Advesa MA is a small business as well as a women-owned and led multicultural enterprise. The Cannabis Control Commission also mandates diverse hiring requirements for economic empowerment priority applicants like Advesa MA that are required in regulations. Our mission is to better the communities in which we operate by empowering individuals disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs through education, training, employment, and incubation of social equity-focused businesses. Our vision is to develop a state-of-the-art dispensary facility that integrates economic empowerment, innovative technology, advanced products, and academic communities while providing safe access to cannabis. I'm now going to pass the mic off to my partner, Chanel Lindsay.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm really excited to be here tonight to tell you more about the Advesa team. We come from a diverse set of backgrounds and share a common vision to bring a community focused and equity focused to serve the people of Ball Square and the visitors, and to also impact local and partner marginalized communities. I'll share a little bit about our team. We are all Massachusetts residents, as just mentioned. We're either longtime or lifelong residents of the state. You've met Jess, our CEO. She's an amazing medical patient and businesswoman. Over the last 8 years, she's been working tirelessly to break down barriers in this industry to be one of the few female CEOs of a cannabis business in Massachusetts. And her background and experience is not only in the business side of cannabis, but also helping disadvantaged communities through technical assistance and through advocacy. I'm Chanel Lindsay. I'm our executive director. I live in Rosendale. I also own a small business in Rosendale that I built from the ground up right off the square. I'm an attorney. I've been working for over 10 years now to bring equity specifically into the cannabis industry. And I love our community and I love bringing positive impact through business partnered with nonprofits. And I'm also a mom to a college student. Next on our team are Tatiana and Isaiah Benjamin. They are, as just mentioned, the first of 2 married couples on our team. Tati is our chief marketing officer and account manager, and her background in healthcare and wellness makes her a perfect fit for this really nuanced type of dispensary. We are a retail establishment, but we will have a sincere focus on wellness. We all have a wellness background, and Tati is intimately familiar with the harms caused by the war on drugs and has used her voice and platform to improve and uplift other young women in our community. Isaiah, her husband, brings finance and philanthropy to the table through his development of programming and teaching financial literacy to at-risk youth. And this is the type of experience and values that we bring to the table as a team. Next is Tony, Jess's husband. Tony is a master craftsman and innovator within the space. He's pioneered technologies that have made cannabis safer, non-toxic ways to process cannabis that result in a better, safer quality product. And just like Jess, his business expertise parallels his giving back. And over the last decade, he has been involved and used his skill both in retail and in processing to help and uplift and bring others into the space. And rounding out our team is Michael Latulip. He is a medical patient and advocate who's been working for many, many years to uplift the medical community and also LGBTQ issues within the industry. And you can see, I'll pass these slides, but together we form an incredible team that really is dedicated to bringing a quality business to Ball Square.
Thank you, Chanel. So Advesa is the right operator for Ball Square. One being our experience. Our management team maintains experience in the medical and adult use cannabis markets, including compliance, cultivation, manufacturing, distribution, and retail. Our business model has been tried, tested, and proven to work in comparative markets. Our in-house products are developed by Tony Verzura, a cannabis patent holder and industry innovator with 80 credited awards. Despite being a small business, our team maintains a recognized influence in the cannabis space through our vast network with other academic institutions, cannabis markets, brands, and our owners' participation in local and global projects. And most importantly, our empowerment initiatives. Through local and international partnerships, Advesa's core team has contributed to economic empowerment on a local, national, and international level. Our commitment to this mission will continue through our Somerville dispensary operations. The type of marijuana establishment we are licensing is an adult use marijuana retailer, and we are doing business as Blue River. The proposed location of this marijuana retailer is 690 to 694 Broadway. And with that, I'm going to give the mic over to Dennis Greenwood, our architect and building planner.
Thank you, Jessica. As you mentioned, my name is Dennis Greenwood from Souza Design Architects. So the next few slides, we're just going to briefly go over the location, and then I'll let the transportation consultants kind of take over after that. But we're going to go over the location and some brief kind of design elements and walk you through the space a little bit so you get an idea of how the flow works and how the retail floor is going to work. So as Jessica mentioned, we're at 690 to 694 Broadway. So it's at the cross streets of Broadway and Josephine Ave. It's the former location of, there's two retail spaces there. One was a glasses boutique at 694 Broadway, which I'll point that out in an upcoming rendering. And then there was a medical clinic at 690 Broadway. So what we're doing is we're taking over two retail spaces. And I'll kind of point out how that works with our flow and why that was important to our layout in the upcoming slide. But important for where we're located is that it's very easy public transportation. We have the Green Line extension coming in across the street. The team is also dedicated to leasing parking and bike spaces across the street on a separate lot so that we have above what's required by zoning. And then they've also committed to looking in the future as to what they need for home delivery capabilities. And so Jessica can speak more to that in terms of the operations and functionality of that. What we've done is we've planned ahead in terms of the operations and POS systems and how that works and how you can order ahead and potential curbside pickup in the future. Next slide, please. Okay, so again, we're at 690 to 694 Broadway. The space is zoned for cannabis retail space. And also, as just mentioned, we're filed under Advesa. The space you'll see in an upcoming rendering on the signage is going to operate under the title Blue River, which is how they're going to be doing business at this location. That's what they have kind of an established brand as Tony and Jessica have worked on for years. And so now on the right is an axon, which is kind of just a 3D view within the space that helps orient you a little bit. An important feature of our space, if you're looking at the outside on the right, that's Josephine Ave. In the rear, we have a dedicated loading bay, which you can see annotated with a van parked in that space. So what that does is that enables us to have off-street deliveries as well as trash pickup. So there'll be no interference with local traffic in terms of any deliveries or trash. That'll still be scheduled for off hours pickup and deliveries anyways, but it is important and helps with the functionality of the space that that's not on the street and is kind of tucked out of the way. So that door opens directly into a secure inventory room so that there's no cross traffic with any pedestrian space on the sidewalk or within the retail floor itself. The space is just over 3,700 square feet. And again, what it is it took over two existing retail tenants, and that was important for a couple of reasons. It gave us extended storefront coverage, about 49 feet of frontage along Broadway, which was a great piece, and you'll see in the upcoming renderings how we want to treat that. But also what it did is it helped with circulation. So what we're going to do is we're using the existing two entries, and we're going to create a single flow circulation through the space. So I don't have cursor access, but if you look kind of on the left side of that image, you'll kind of see a little notch as to where that entry is. And then if you go in there, that's a queuing area. So that's just under 520 square feet of queuing area. So that's space to queue numerous people off the street. By code, it's over 70 people that would be allowed in that space. Again, the focus is kind of to keep everyone off the street. We don't want people in lines outside. So there's a major focus on that. So we're utilizing the singular circulation space where you come in to be a immediate security checkpoint. You go through in this waiting area, and then again, there'd be a checkpoint at the door into the dispensary floor, which occupies the lower right portion of the space that you can see, kind of with that wood millwork that you see inside. So that would be a fobbed entry door where you would get carded before you go in, and then you'd have more queuing space inside if needed. So that floor area is just over 2,200 square feet all in of patron area. So representing more than 50% of the floor area, with the focus of keeping people off the street. There'll be no lines outside. We have space inside for the employees to answer any questions. We have dedicated consultation room, security checkpoints, as well as informative displays so that there's an efficient circulation through the space. Next. Okay. So on the right, you can see a floor plan of the space. It's a little easier to see kind of the entry point that I talked about. You walk through, there's a reception area. The consultation room is off of that space as well. Again, another secure door to get you into the dispensary floor. There's 9 POS systems on that floor. What we're doing is we really put an emphasis on maximizing the flow of the space, as well as kind of looking at how long we think people are going to take in the space so that it's adequate and there'll be no one outside. There's 9 POS stations. We're looking at probably dedicating 1 to advanced online pickup. So it'd be 1 POS right when you come in the door. That's a fast pickup so that you can get out. And again, looking at provisions to look into curbside delivery in the future.
I'm watching the meeting for Advesa in Somerville.
Oh, okay, I'll let you go then.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you tomorrow then.
Okay, very good. Speak to you then. Bye-bye.
Please mute yourself, whoever's talking on the phone. Thank you.
Okay, so so about 30% of the business, they're looking at projections that they may prefer home delivery, and Jessica can answer more questions on that. But that's something that we took into account in the layout and the design and how all these point of sale systems work. We're looking at about 5 to 15 minutes per consumer to be on the premises for them to order and get their package and head out. And that depends kind of, some of them will require more consultation, some will be order aheads that walk right out. For a 6-month duration at the beginning of the opening, they will be appointment only. Additionally, they're looking at QR codes to help utilize the new technologies that everyone's getting used to. During COVID, those were, everyone kind of got a handle on the QR code. So they're looking to use some of that technology to integrate that and make the experience a little more interactive and more efficient. Next slide, please. Okay, and so here's just an image of the outside, what we're looking at for the space. So again, on the left, you can see there's one entry right under the sign that says Blue River. That's the 690 space. That was the existing medical clinic. So right now there's vinyl graphics that cover that entire window. One thing that's really important to us is we have all the street frontage. We don't want to squander it. We want to enliven that streetscape. We want to create something that really looks like a beautiful amenity for Ball Square. So one thing we're looking at on the right, you see the windows are frosted. Right now, that's a little bit of a placeholder, only because you're not allowed to see directly into a dispensary floor. You can't advertise any cannabis products right onto the street. What we're talking about is having a kind of a shop display format where there's a partition probably about 4 feet back from that storefront where we have rotating artist displays. And really what we would like is, this is kind of a great forum for it because we want to reach out to the community. And if you know any local artists, if you guys know anything that would kind of really enliven the community. That's what we want to have in there. We want it to be something that's, to some degree rotating and really connects to the neighborhood. And I think it's just a great opportunity to kind of enliven that streetscape. Because again, right now, there's a little boutique glasses thing on the corner that's been gone for a while. There's vinyl all across the left side of the storefront. So I think that coming in here, we have the chance to kind of punch it up a little bit, engage that corner, and enliven it a little bit. In terms of what we're doing to the building itself, there's not a lot. What we're doing is we're painting the upper cornice. Right now, that's kind of a beige color. We're darkening that up so that we kind of frame out our space a little bit. We're taking dimensional can letters so that there's a little depth to that signage, and then externally illuminating them similar to what's done elsewhere down on the building, externally illuminating those, but giving it a little bit of depth so you get some shadow lines. But other than that, we're leaving the building more or less as it is. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Jessica. You can take over. You want me to turn it right over to Howard Stein Hudson?
You can turn it over to Howard Stein Hudson.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'll be around for questions, and then I will let Ian and his colleagues take it from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis. Ian McKinnon here from Howard Stein Hudson. Howard Stein Hudson has extensive experience with transportation studies all over the Boston region. And throughout our studies, this one stands out as a very ideal site with its excellent transportation connections and possible travel choices. Before you, you can see the site's transportation overview showing the project's location on the corner of Broadway and Josephine Avenue. You can also see that the project enjoys a great location right across the street from the upcoming Ball Square Green Line station set to open in December. It is also adjacent to several bus stops that share access to 3 bus lines. And around the corner, there's also a Blue Bike station, the region's bicycle share system. As I mentioned before, parking will be located off Boston Ave to the north and loading and deliveries handled off street to the rear of the building. On the next slide, there's additional detail on parking. Parking for the project is proposed approximately 250 feet away from the site at 0 Boston Avenue. Parking will be provided for 8 vehicles to start and beginning in January up to 10 spaces. Additionally, this area is proposed to host some additional secure bicycle storage. Next slide. The project team understands the concerns around traffic and parking are often ones that are first that communities ask with new developments. The project, as discussed, will provide a full traffic study as part of the development review application. And to date, we've evaluated the traffic operations at nearby intersections along Broadway, and the traffic generated by this project is not anticipated to adversely affect any operations. Similarly, the project will also point visitors to the off-street parking provided by the project off Boston Ave that will adequately serve the project, and we do not anticipate impacts to the neighborhood on-street parking. The proximity to transit and alternative modes of travel make this an ideal site for all modes of travel. Finally, the proponent is committed to transportation demand management measures that will help reduce any vehicle impacts and encourage people to take alternative modes to the site. These include subsidized MBTA passes and Blue Bikes memberships for their employees, a pre-order system to reduce any time in store, an appointment-only business model to start, utilizing a transportation coordinator to inform employees and customers of the various travel alternatives available to them, provide bike racks out front for visitors, and the team also understands that opening days also require extra attention, and the project is committed to working with the city, the community, and all stakeholders on a very robust operations plan for this first day. And again, I will also be around and happy to answer your questions at the end.
Jessica, I think you're muted if you're speaking.
My apologies. Now I'm going to get into the security plan portion of the presentation. Next slide, please. Former Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis designed Advesa's security plan in operations. Ed Davis has also drafted an opening day plan to ensure safe and smooth operations. Engagement has already begun with Advesa's architects, ensuring that security will be an integral part of Advesa's design from the beginning. Advesa intends to participate in efforts made by Somerville business leaders and community stakeholders to continue to build a safer, cleaner, and more engaged community. Advesa must abide by all security requirements in the state regulations, as well as address any local security concerns brought forth by Somerville public safety officials or local residents before commencing operations. We must positively identify everybody entering our facility as being 21 years of age through government-issued identification. License scanners will be used to ensure that every ID entering the facility is valid and that the individual in the photo matches the individual trying to enter the building. We also must establish limited access areas pursuant to the state regulations, which shall be accessible only to specifically authorized personnel, limited to include only the minimum number of employees essential for efficient operation. Advesa must ensure that the outside perimeter of the marijuana establishment is sufficiently lit to facilitate surveillance. Product deliveries will be made at randomized times that will not happen during time periods of heavy traffic and will only be in a locked, loaded, private loading bay. All cannabis and waste products will be stored in locked containers in the interior of the facility and disposed of according to DEP and CCC regulations. I will now pass the mic off to Tatiana Benjamin.
Hi, good evening. We understand in the Ball Square community, there are families, children in schools such as the Brown Elementary and the Kennedy School. And as a mom myself of an 8-month-old and a soon to be 10-year-old, prevention of diversion to minors is a key objective of mine and our entire team. As you can see on the slide, in addition to our comprehensive education programs to further decrease the risk of minors and comply with regulations, our packaging will be child resistant and tamper proof with many warning labels. Products for sale will not resemble any realistic or fictional human, animal, fruit, or cartoon renderings. All employees will be licensed by the state and over the age of 21, in addition to the requirement of not having been convicted of distribution of controlled substances to minors. As Jessica stated on the previous slide, we will have redundant ID checks with 50 state electronic scanner technology. And lastly, financial contributions will be made for programming in middle schools, encouraging students to wait until over the age of 21 to consume cannabis.
Thank you, Tatiana. We will be good neighborhood partners. Next slide, please. So we understand that there's a lot of community concerns, and there's a couple ways that we are going to mitigate that. Consumption concerns are obviously very prevalent all around Massachusetts. Consumption or ingestion of marijuana on the property is strictly prohibited, and security staff will monitor regularly. Signage will be visible that says not to consume in the surrounding neighborhood. Exit packaging will contain warnings not to consume cannabis in the immediate neighborhood or drive while on cannabis. We will have a 1-800 number for neighbors to call if they see any cannabis consumption around the neighborhood. Anyone caught consuming cannabis in the neighborhood that was purchased from our facility will be banned from purchasing cannabis at our store. Additional concerns. No marijuana products will be visible from the street, and no marijuana related designs or logos will appear on the exterior, interior, or any merchandise. No marijuana leaf signage will be visible outside the dispensary. Odors will be eliminated through sealed packaging and building ventilation. Pre-orders. Advesa plans to institute an online pre-order system through the web. We'll be hiring a local Somerville resident as a community liaison. If you have any nominations, please contact us.
Advesa is an environmentally cautious company committed to sustainability plans to provide incentives to customers who come on public transportation, walking, or by bicycle. We plan to install bicycle racks and storage to ensure bicyclists have adequate storage while visiting our store. We plan to have a minimal impact on the environment, traffic, and parking due to our incentivization of public transport and green transportation options. The Advesa product packaging is eco-friendly and compliant with state regulations, and we will also prioritize visitors who take public transportation or come by bicycle. On the next slide, you'll see that we are located across the street from the new Ball Square station, providing direct access to the Green Line, as stated during the traffic slides.
I'll jump in now and discuss our plan for positive impact and the requirements under our host community agreement. Somerville has opted for a 3% local tax, so there'll be a 3% tax on the products sold at our store. There will also be a community impact fee that will be paid to Somerville, and that will be up to 3% of our total gross sales. As part of the host community agreement, you can see that the funds will be used primarily to support substance abuse prevention programs and generally supporting public health. Next slide, please. In addition, we have also made a commitment to the Cambridge Health Alliance for $75,000 over the next 5 years. And again, that will be focused on programs for youth preventions, programs for teens, behavioral health programs as well. We're also partnering with the Cambridge Health Alliance and the Somerville Public Schools in order to identify opportunities where Advesa can support the youth. In addition to that, and we'll get to the slide in a bit, we have requirements under the economic empowerment guidelines around hiring, and then we also are supplementing that with additional educational, mentoring, and job training support. Specifically, when it comes to our involvement in the Ball Square business and community, the store will bring additional new customers and traffic to the communities, and we will be working to incentivize customers to visit other Ball Square businesses in very unique and interesting ways, partnering with local nonprofits as well. We're also going to be providing local businesses with physical and digital billboards within the store so that people will know who to patronize after and before they come to visit us. And we are also really here to amplify the community voices within Somerville. And again, this entire meeting and our business is about hearing from the community and being a benefit to it. As I mentioned, as part of our statewide application, we are, and our local host community agreement, we are continuing the work that we all do individually and bringing that to Advesa in the form of programming, direct aid, and support to economic empowerment applicants and other marginalized communities. We will have specific regular business office hours and mentorship classes. We will also be incubating equity applicants in addition to providing technical resources and support. Our hiring is absolutely focused on uplifting local residents and communities that have been negatively impacted by prohibition. You'll see here that we're starting with 15 to 25 employees initially, and that there will be a core focus on hiring people with quarries, local folks, and folks that have been directly impacted by the war on drugs. We're also going to be improving the fabric of the economic community by offering significant shelf space to economic empowerment, other equity businesses, which will also increase the beauty and variety of the products that we are able to offer within the store.
So our next steps for Advesa is going to be led by Isaiah Benjamin.
Thank you, Jess. Good evening, everyone. My name is Isaiah Benjamin, and I am one of the owners and members of the executive team here at Advesa. I'll be talking to you all about, where the company stands in the permitting and licensing process and what our next steps are as we continue to build out our mission-driven business of empowering individuals impacted by the war on drugs. So on the local side, Advesa has executed a hosted community agreement with the city of Somerville to operate a dispensary in Ball Square. We have applied to do business as Blue River Terps. Next, we still need to receive license from the Somerville Licensing Commission, as Charlotte mentioned earlier, and a special permit from the Somerville Planning Board. Next would be the City Inspectional Services Department will issue a certificate of occupancy once we are licensed by the state. And then once we have our certificate of occupancy, we can ask the commission to inspect and commence operations.
Thank you, Isaiah. In terms of state licensing, Advesa has received provisional approval from the Cannabis Control Commission for provisional licensure at 690 to 694 Broadway. During the local permitting process, Advesa will apply for commission architectural review and proceed with the commission's post-provisional inspectional process. Once inspected by the CCC for compliance with regulations, Advesa may receive its final license from the commission and then proceed to obtain permission to commence operations and sales. The state licensure process with inspection is expected to take several months. Every year, our license must be renewed, and our renewal is contingent on the success of our diversity and positive impact plans. Thank you for your time, and that does conclude our presentation portion of this. If you have any questions that you don't feel comfortable asking today, or you are not able to ask today, or you may have forgotten to ask today, please feel free to email us at support@advesawellness.com. Thank you very much, and I will now pass the mic back to Mark.
All right, thank you, Jessica. Charlotte says you have a question. Charlotte, somebody asked you a question that you want to speak on?
Yeah, so I really quickly wanted to clarify, at one point in your presentation a little bit earlier on, you said that you were going to be doing delivery. Can you explain what you mean by that? I just want to confirm what you're intending by that statement.
Yes, so we said we have the capacity to do delivery. So that is something that the state has opened up to economic empowerment applicants for a 3-year exclusivity. So we are planning on applying for a delivery license as long as the city of Somerville is okay with that. However, we have not done so yet.
Okay, great. I just wanted to clarify that because as of right now, the city of Somerville does not permit delivery. There was a board order by the land use committee of the city council for staff to look into that, and we will be looking into it, but just wanted to clarify for everyone present that as of today, delivery is not an option, although it may be in the future. That was my one question. Back to you, Mark.
Thanks, Charlotte. So Ella had put in the chat quite early on that she had a question. So I'll take Ella's question first, and then Jamil Simon has raised his hand. So Ella, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, Mark.
Hi. Oh, hi, Ella.
Hey.
I know you.
Yes.
Speak up.
Mark, Jess and Chanel, thank you so much for presenting to us today, and the rest of the team. I really appreciate it. So I want to give you a little context for my question. I'm originally from the Netherlands, and that hopefully will tell you that I'm not opposed to marijuana, and I'm supportive of it. Generally speaking, locally, and I'm a resident in the Ball Square area. My question is this: why do you need three spots of retail in Ball Square? 3,000 square feet, I think that's a lot of square footage. I can't believe that a business plan is not possible with one spot. In Europe, in the Netherlands, they're much smaller. It works. I would love to see a boutique or a gift shop or a vet or another high-end restaurant in somewhere in Ball Square, and you're taking 3 locations. That feels excessive to me, and I'd like to get a perspective on why 3 is needed.
Thank you so much, Ella. I appreciate that, and I definitely understand where you're coming from, especially in regards to being from the Netherlands, where things are much more smaller than over here in America. I do want to just draw attention very quickly to the fact that we're only taking up 2 storefronts right now. 690 to 692 is the current, or the old current, chiropractor's office. So we are taking up 2 storefronts, which includes 694. So with 690 to 694, it brings us to 2,193 square feet of sales floor space. So that is important for 2 reasons. One, it allows more internal queuing space and more room for patrons to be inside of the dispensary and for employees. The second is security. And having a separate entrance and exit is very imperative for security measures. So you don't want people in a dispensary entering and exiting out of the same door. So expanding into that smaller space on the corner unit does allow us more space for that. And I do hope that answers some of your questions. There are, not to make any comparisons, there are some slightly larger dispensaries within the Commonwealth. And, I hope that when taking up two separate storefronts, it won't deteriorate the urban fabric. I know that's a major concern of people. But security and internal queuing is of utmost importance to us.
Thanks, Jessica. This has been a topic of some discussion over email in the past few days. So Jamil, I'm going to ask you to wait just a minute. I see that Jeff Schwam also has a question. Colin McDonald wrote in the chat, I have a follow-on to Ella's question. Colin, is this on this topic?
It is, and it goes to the urban fabric, Mark, thanks. And I mean, it just strikes me that this is not the right, I should say, by way of background, I live around the corner on Rogers Avenue. I have 2 kids finishing 3rd and 5th grade right now. I respectfully think this is the wrong location for it. It's directly across from a brand new T station. It's 2 full storefronts, 50 feet on Broadway. It's a prime opportunity to do something great. And instead, we're going to have this factory sealed, can't get in. Very likely to have armed guards out front. No street engagement or minimal street engagement. A block from an elementary school. I think planning needs to think more creatively than this, and that's why I think it's follow on to Ella's point.
Thank you, Colin. I do just want to point to the fact that it is zoning compliant, and I do understand your concerns about the proximity to any children. The reason why we do think that this is a good space is also the reason that it is adjacent to public transportation and it's pedestrian friendly. So I do, the other issue with marijuana dispensaries, it's very difficult to find buildings for the sole reason that if you have a marijuana dispensary, it has to be leased from an owner who owns the building outright. So if a bank owns the building or there's a mortgage on the property, you cannot locate a marijuana retailer there. Thankfully, we have a great landlord, Tom Roselli, who has been very great to us, and we were able to find a home at his building.
All right, thank you. We're going to stick on this point for a little while since this has been already a topic of discussion. I see that Amanda Beck, who I spoke to the other day, has a follow-on. This is also on the street, activating the street issue, Amanda?
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Right,
just quickly regarding, the square footage and the space you're occupying over the 2 or 3 storefronts, depending on how you count it. I believe Jessica or another presenter mentioned that there are some larger dispensaries here in Massachusetts. How would this one rank? It seems big to me, but I don't really have a concept of how it compares to others in the Boston area, I guess, in other urban settings. Could you let us know?
Yeah, Chanel, would you like to take that question?
I think it's comparable. It's average in the greater Boston area. There are certainly, as you go out into the suburbs, you get quite large, but our size is average for what you see within the the larger end. We're talking about 15,000 square feet. So certainly with us here, hovering right around 2. And just to clarify another comment before, there absolutely will not be armed guards outside of the dispensary at all. That's part of the reason for the internal queuing. And there's always that balance there, right, between the community not wanting congestion on the sidewalk and things like that, and wanting to make sure that there is security while not impacting how the outside is looking to anybody passing by. And again, with that, with the square footage that we will have for the windows, there certainly is a huge opportunity to have any kind of display that really would resonate with the community there. And frankly, you will not know that there, is cannabis behind those displays.
Let me ask Charlotte, Lise, how does this compare, like 50-foot storefront? How does this compare to other retail marijuana dispensaries that have been licensed in Somerville?
I knew I was going to get that question. I would have to look it up. Off the top of my head, things that I do know are that the zoning ordinance's maximum permitted square footage for a retail store is 10,000 square feet. So they're well within that requirement. Beyond that, The ones that I can think of off the top of my head, and some of these numbers might be wrong, Union Leaf in Union Square is approximately 30 square feet. Sorry, 30 feet of frontage, not 30 square feet. 378 Highland Ave, Nesh, is probably a similar number of square feet. That is right next to Tenoch for anyone who has Davis Square in their head. It took up, I think, 2 storefronts next to Tenoch, but beyond that, I would have to go back and look at the plan sets. I don't recall off the top of my head how wide the other
All right,
storefronts are.
thank you. Well, this is an issue that I'm sure the planning board would be interested in, so I'm sure you'll have that data for the planning board. And if when you dig it up, you could share it with me, I could share it with the neighbors.
I can certainly do that.
So we'll move on to Jamil Simon. Mr. Simon, you have the floor if you want it. You're muted. Hi.
Hi. You know, I have no objection whatsoever to the idea of the store or to the sale of cannabis or or to the team. I mean, I don't object to any of those things, but I think Ball Square is just too small a space to fit this size store and this, you know, I mean, every other store, the one in Newton, there's one in Melrose, there's one in Brookline. They all are part of, you know, in less crowded spaces. They have adjacent parking, you know, and the one in Brookline Center, which doesn't have parking, it does have a crowd control problem, and they do have a policeman out there all the time. So I don't know. I would be more than happy if it was across the bridge, you know, where the gas station is. And, you know, it's not like it has to be, you know, not in this town, but Ball Square, you know, with all, it's hard enough to park as it is. And what another person talked about their children, that they live on Rogers Avenue. I mean, those are concerns. Oh, across the bridge, it wouldn't be a problem at all. So
I agree, Jamil, by the way. There actually is another application to go into the old Shield gas station, which hasn't moved forward yet, but there may well be a marijuana business there. So thank you for that comment. There was another comment in the chat.
Marijuana business there in addition to this?
Yeah, there's an application. It hasn't moved forward yet. It hasn't gotten, it's still in process. So it's not clear if that will move forward, but it is in the works, and you'll certainly hear about it if it does move forward.
And so there are going to be 2 competing marijuana shops within 100 yards of each other?
Again, as I said, it's not clear if that other one will be permitted or not, but there are 2 competing liquor stores within less than 100 yards of each other in Ball Square. And when we zoned for marijuana, we basically zoned it as liquor stores are zoned in Somerville. So on the issue of size, Glenn Newcalls wrote, I don't object to the business being in Ball Square, but this will be the largest business in Ball Square. So Jeff Schwam has been waiting patiently. Jeff, you have the floor.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Jeff Schwam, the main organizer for the Ball Square Disc Association. We exist to build a happier, more connected community. I look forward to sharing this presentation with the email list, and we welcome any opportunity to connect with this business or other marijuana dispensary applicants for Ball Square. At this time, I actually want to talk as a private resident. I live on 111 Boston Avenue, which is right around the corner. And this is definitely not on behalf of the Ball Square Disc Association. So first and foremost, there are a few things I'm wicked excited about. Economic opportunity businesses are more than welcome in this square. And we look forward to other minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned spaces in our square with the development and changes that we expect with the Green Line. Furthermore, a more bustling square with visitors, especially those you're focused on by taking train, by biking, scooters, cars, however people get here. It's always great for our businesses, one of which is over 100 years old. So we have a lot of history here. From an urban design perspective, I'm also disappointed that both 690 to 692 and 694 Broadway are being used for the dispensary. On a positive note, I think it's great, like to create more off-street customer queuing. I know neighbors are concerned about that. You have experience with, the drawings and everything. But I know personally, I don't want our square to turn into a block store square. So the more businesses with the smaller frontages, the more diverse and urban fabric, as you said, Jessica. Consolidating multiple retail spaces into one single space can take away opportunity for other businesses to operate. And by changing the footprint from the original plans and taking away another retail space, that could have impacts for the future of Somerville and businesses. As we know, this square has a lot of character to it. There's the bustling outdoor seating. There's Mike Moshe and other folks hawking people into their businesses. There are people queuing outside of Lindell's and that sort of thing. And obviously, we're very concerned about ADA compliance and making sure there's enough, width on the sidewalks for people to go. But there's a hustle and bustle to our square, and by making a space bigger than it needs to be, it just can take away an opportunity from other businesses who are minority owned, women owned, et cetera, other small businesses from getting an opportunity. So, but we look forward to working, again, Ball Square District Association, look forward to working with any cannabis retailer in being a part of the square. And thanks for your time.
Thanks, Jeff. If I didn't make it clear, this is a time for comments as well as questions. If you want to share your views, even if you don't have a question, that is just fine. Courtney O'Keefe, you have a question.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Could I have your community slide put back into the Zoom view for my question? And I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Is this the slide you're referring to?
I believe it's the next one, maybe? No, it talked about the advertising.
Oh, that's on the original.
It was that one just further down on it. So I think it's back to the Ball Square, but I think it might be the last point.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was physical or digital billboards within the retail establishment, not at all looking out. There will be nothing pointing out. We're just saying that internally within the business, we will also have space available for other businesses within the square to have information and to advertise strictly within the four walls of the business.
Thank you very much. The one that I was referring to regarded advertising on the outside, talked about whether or not you would put like cannabis plants or anything like that. That's the one that I was really referring to. It's not this one.
Oh yeah, that's back in the architectural pieces. So I don't know where that slide is, but just confirming that there will be nothing like that on the frontage.
I think it's in security. But yes, according to state regulations, we can have no marijuana leaf signage or nothing that resembles a marijuana plant visible from the street.
Excellent. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't something that your business came up with. That's actually a state, a state rule. I just wanted that distinction. The other observation that I wanted to make is that I'm the irony that your security plan is created by a police officer, law enforcement of which has been a strong presence as far as the war on drugs, which I like to call the war on Black, Brown, Hispanic, and Latino people, really. That irony is not lost on me.
I think that's a great point. I'd love to respond to that. And
please do.
Yeah, often as a company, especially a smaller company, when we're going into different cities and towns, one of the main ways that economic empowerment and minority businesses have been kept out of cities and towns is this allegation that we don't have the chops to have the type of security that would make a community safe. And because of that, there was a decision early on to have Ed Davis create the security plan because of his expertise there. The Ed Davis Group is not doing the security for this project. We are working with a minority-owned, family-run security business. So that will be the presence on site, but that's just a little bit of insight into, you know, that irony 100% that exists when it comes to what's required of a business to present, but also understanding and being conscious of the fact that we are absolutely not bringing a police presence into Somerville. And certainly we are calling to task law enforcement to ensure that as cannabis laws change, that they are at the forefront of that. And there are definitely strides that they need to make there. So I will leave it at that.
Thank you. My last question is, what is your relationship with True Leave?
So that's a great question, and I appreciate you asking that. So we have been in talks with them about a possible 9.9% investment into Advesa and financially contributing to Advesa. Per state laws, they can not own any more than 9.99%, and they cannot have any ownership and control. I understand that a lot of people are a bit weary of larger corporations, especially MSOs. So that is something that we are very familiar with. A couple reasons why I do think that True Leave is a good fit as our investor is that I do place a lot of emphasis on diversity, equity, inclusion. They are women-led and operated. 42% of their employees are minorities, 17% of their leadership are minorities, 38% of their leadership and 48% overall identify as women, and 25% of their board directors are women. So something that is very prevalent in the industry is that all of these larger corporations are predominantly owned and operated by white males. So we do feel like if we did have to go with an investor, they are the best pick.
All right, I see that Eric Schwartz has his hands up and somebody named iPhone, who I don't know who that is, but Grover Taylor has put a number of questions in the chat. And so as he is a direct abutter, I'm gonna read those questions out and ask the applicant team to respond to them. The first one was partially answered. What are True Leave Advesa ties to the local community? So I think it's really about, since True Leave is not yet involved, what are Advesa's ties to the local community? Jessica, would one of you respond to that?
Yes, I can jump in there. And I saw that the other part of the question is kind of about us as a community and what we bring and what our ties are to Somerville. So like I mentioned, half of our team are lifelong Massachusetts residents. Jess and Tony have been living in Massachusetts for several years now. We all individually, none of us live in Somerville, but we certainly all have had large experience bringing positive impacts to our individual communities. And in the time now that we have been working to bring this business to Somerville, we have been working alongside the community, the businesses, the state, and are also have ties to local nonprofits. Like I mentioned, we're actually going to be working with Mil Milagros to amplify their voice. Those of you who don't know, they share a common mission with us of empowering women and overcoming misogyny and breaking down the barriers to the marketplace. So our goal here really.
Please mute yourself, whichever phone that is that's ringing. Thank you. Sorry about that, Chanel. Go ahead.
So our goal here is not only to bring a responsible, viable business to Somerville, but also to use the benefits within the Somerville community to amplify those voices that are already there within the community to reach other marginalized groups, in this case, Indigenous women in Guatemala.
All right, thanks. Grover Taylor's also asked about, I think this has been answered, will there be security outside? The answer was no. And will they allow people to queue outside? And if so, maybe in front of Vita Jumbo's. He's understandably concerned about that, but there won't be any queuing or security outside, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, Eric Schwartz, you have the floor.
Sure. Thank you, Councilor Niedergang. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Eric.
Sure. Thank you so much. I just want to make it clear that my comments, my question tonight are in relation to the process itself and not necessarily the applicant before us, or the company, but I've been a pretty big opponent of the fact that the Marijuana Advisory Committee is not subject to open meeting law. And I think, unfortunately, that process that was set up by Mayor Curtatone is kind of leading to sort of what we're seeing here tonight. I mean, there was someone on the line that didn't even know of a location, another location in addition to this location that was going basically right across the street from this one here. So what we're kind of seeing is a buildup of companies now that are seemingly ready to go to the licensing commission, but you know, it's seeming like they haven't really been properly vetted by the community. So I just want to acknowledge that. And then specific to Advesa, I did write this down just because it has some dates involved. So I'd like to acknowledge the public record from September 18, 2019 from Alex Mello to Acting Mayor Valentine, which states that the Marijuana Advisory Committee was not interested in interviewing Advesa because they, quote, determined that the application seemed to lack local ties to the community and the application indicated a weak EEA connection. Despite this, Advesa's host community agreement was signed by Mayor Curtatone on November 17, 2020. As such, I believe that the public has a right to know what happened in the year between Mac's dismissal of Advesa and the mayor's decision to sign that host community agreement. So I don't know who specifically would be on Advesa, but that's public record. And, you know, if you could maybe shed some light on what happened there, that'd be great. Thank you.